On a busy night in Seoul, Aum Seoktae slips escort cards onto parked cars. He heads back to the office where Jung-ho is on the phone, complaining about two missing girls he gave advances to. Annoyed, Aum turns on the TV. Jung-ho throws the remote at him, tells him to turn it off and go back out. Then Jung-ho's phone rings. It's a new client asking for an escort. An escort walks into a hotel room for her job. When she goes to use the bathroom, she finds another man already in there. Shocked and angry, she slams the door and yells at him, calling him a pervert. The customer suddenly snaps and starts beating her. Hotel security calls Jung-ho. He arrives quickly, beats up the man, and drags him into the room to settle things in private. He gets the money and leaves. Down in the basement parking lot, the escort tells Jung-ho she's done with this job. While driving her, she brings up the two missing girls and asks Jung-ho to look into it, since he used to be a detective. Later, after dropping her off, Jung-ho gets a call. He finds out he doesn't have any escorts left to send. He tells Aum to send Mi-jin, but Aum says she's sick, so Jung-ho calls Mi-jin directly and forces her to take the job. While driving, Jung-ho finds a phone under the car seat. Mi-jin reaches to the customer's location in her car. He turns it on and checks the call logs. That's when he realizes both missing girls were sent to the same customer. He starts to panic, thinking he may have unknowingly sold them off. Aum then tells him that Mi-jin has also gone to the same customer. Worried, Jung-ho calls Mi-jin and tells her to share her location, using the excuse that he needs to a restroom. Right after, Jung-ho calls his old police friend, Officer Gilwo, asking for backup. But Gilwo says he's busy. He's attending to the Seoul mayor. Mi-jin reaches the address and goes upstairs with Young Min. She leaves the door slightly open for Jung-ho to find her. She makes an excuse that she needs to use the restroom. Inside, she notices there's no signal on her phone. She tries opening the window to get one, but it's sealed shut with bricks. She starts to panic. In the bathroom, she sees clumps of hair soaked in blood inside the tub. Trying to stay calm, she goes back to Young Min and makes up an excuse. She says she left the condom in her car. But when she tries to leave, she finds the main door locked. Outside, Jung-ho waits near her car, trying to call her, but her phone has no signal. Inside the house, Young Min ties Mi-jin up. He threatens her, saying if she doesn't stay quiet, he'll cut out her tongue, just like he did with another girl before. Mi-jin is terrified. She begs him to let her go, telling him she has a daughter. But he doesn't care. He pulls out a hammer and a chisel. After hesitating a few times, he finally strikes her. Just then, the doorbell rings. An old man and woman arrive, saying they came to see Mr. Park. Young Min tells them to leave, but the woman sees Mr. Park's dog outside and starts playing with it near the door. Annoyed, Young Min invites them in, saying Mr. Park is asleep. Once they're inside, he kills both of them with the hammer. Young Min drives a car away from his house, trying to dump it somewhere. As he pulls out, he's suddenly hit by another car. It's Jung-ho. Jung-ho gets out to apologize, but then notices bloodstains on Young Min's shirt. Suspicious, he insists on getting his number to pay for the damage, but Young Min keeps refusing. That's when Jung-ho dials the customer's number from earlier, and Young Min's phone starts ringing. Realizing the truth, Jung-ho charges at him. Young Min runs, but Jung-ho chases him through the streets. He finally catches him, beats him down, and checks his wallet. It says he's from Anyang City. Jung-ho cuffs him with his own handcuffs and heads back toward his car, which is still in the middle of the road, causing a traffic jam. Security officers nearby notice something strange and decide to detain both men, putting them in a police van. At the police station, Jung-ho keeps trying to reach Gilwo, but he's not answering. Gilwo is caught up in a messy public stunt. A citizen just threw feces at the mayor during an event, and things are chaotic. Meanwhile, Jung-ho pleads with the police to search Young Min's house to find Mi-jin, but the officers are more focused on figuring out Young Min's phone number and asking if he sold the missing girls. Young Min calmly responds that he didn't sell them. He killed them all. Finally, Gilwo answers Jung-ho's call. Jung-ho tells him the man they've caught has killed at least 9 people. Gilwo turns to his fellow officer, Detective O, and asks if she remembers the Mapo murder case. She says yes, and he starts piecing things together. At the police station, FBI agents walk in, trying to take Young Min into custody. But the Korean police refuse, saying they want to continue their own investigation. The two sides start arguing. To settle it, the police chief steps in and decides to hand Young Min over himself. Before leaving, he asks who beat up Young Min. The officers point to Young Ho, so the chief tells them to bring him in too. Meanwhile, Young Ho is in the stolen car and finds a bunch of keys inside. In the van, during questioning, Young Min tells the police he killed the women using a chisel. Gilwo asks Detective O if the victims in the Mapo case were killed the same way. She confirms they were. Then, Young Min claims Mijin might still be alive, but gives them a false address in Anyang City to mislead them. Young Ho, however, doesn't trust him and believes he's lying again. Young Ho heads back to the Megwan district. He gives the keys he found to Eom and tells him to check every house they can open. He specifically asks him to look for a place with a basement and no phone signal. Back at the station, Young Min continues talking. He calmly explains how he killed the women using the same method used for slaughtering pigs. He says he would hang them on the wall, cut the ankle muscle to drain out the blood. Otherwise, the bodies would be too heavy to carry. The next day, he would chop them up with an axe and bury the remains. Gilwo, disturbed by the details, asks him where he buried the 9 bodies. Young Min corrects him. 12, he says, not 9. Gilwo sends Jung Ho to Mijin's place to collect personal items for a DNA match with the blood found on Young Min's shirt. Jung Ho breaks into the tiny house and finds Mijin's daughter, Yoonji, standing alone, worried about her mother. He takes her out to eat and learns that Mijin told her that her father is working in Brazil. Feeling responsible, Jung Ho decides to take the girl with him to Anyang City. There, they visit Young Min's sister. She says she hasn't seen her brother in years. Then, her young son walks into the room with a head injury. When Jung Ho asks about it, she says Young Min did that to him. Back at the station, the police chief tells the team to focus on 2 things: finding Young Min's motive for the murders and locating where the bodies are buried. Detective O is left alone with Young Min at the station. He looks at her and asks why she isn't wearing perfume, then adds that she smells fishy, like she's on her period. The comment makes her visibly uncomfortable. Later, during his final confession, Young Min suddenly denies everything he previously admitted. This frustrates the FBI agents, who now struggle to find enough evidence to keep him in custody. Meanwhile, Jung Ho visits another pimp to learn more about Young Min. The pimp mentions a girl who had a strange encounter with him. Jung Ho tracks her down. She tells him Young Min was insane. He couldn't get an erection and kept sending her photos of himself covered in blood, saying he would kill her. But she says she deleted all the messages and photos. That same rainy night, the FBI is out in the mountains, searching for the buried bodies, hoping to find something before it's too late. Mijin slowly opens her eyes and sees 2 more dead bodies lying nearby. She's still alive, but barely holding on. Meanwhile, Eom finally gets a lead. He finds a house that opens with one of the keys from the bunch Jung Ho gave him. He searches the place but finds no clear evidence. As he looks around, a man nearby spots him and tries to run. Eom chases after him, but the man overpowers him and beats him up. Just then, Jung Ho arrives and starts beating the man until he finally talks. The man says he only shared a prison cell with Young Min. After being released, Young Min came to stay with him for a short while. He hasn't seen him since, except for one time when Young Min returned to pick up a bag full of tools. Jung Ho looks around the house. On the walls, he notices a strange painting, something drawn by Young Min. Back in the car, Eom falls asleep. While he's resting, Yoonji sees a woman getting out of a taxi. She thinks it's her mother and starts following her. When Jung Ho returns to the car, he sees that Yoonji is missing. He runs through the streets, searching everywhere. and finally finds her passed out on the ground. He picks her up and rushes her to the hospital. Back at the station, the FBI is trying to get a clearer understanding of Young Min's motive. They ask him if he ever had sex with his girlfriend. Young Min stays silent. One of the agents pushes further, saying, "You're impotent, right? You can't get it up, so you use a chisel to kill women. You imagine the chisel is your manhood." The words infuriate Young Min, but he doesn't deny it. The police chief watches from behind the glass and smiles, thinking they finally have something strong enough to hold him. Jung-ho returns to the station, desperate and angry. He storms into room and beats Young Min badly, demanding to know where Mi-jin is. Under pressure, Young Min finally gives them an address. The entire police team rushes to the location and begins digging all over the area, but they find nothing. Young Min had tricked them again. Jung-ho tells the officers that the address is a lie. He shows them a map and points out where Mi-jin's car was spotted, a place that's 20 minutes away from where they're digging now. He explains that if Mi-jin had parked there, it doesn't make sense for her to walk 20 minutes to reach Young Min's place. He urges them to search near where the car was actually found. While they are transporting Young Min to the location he gave, a lawyer arrives at the station. He sees Young Min and demands his release, saying there's no solid evidence to keep him detained. The lawyer threatens the police chief, reminding him that first he embarrassed the mayor with the public incident, and now the press will find out they've been abusing a citizen without proof. He also demands that the officer who beat Young Min be fired. Gil-wo, following the chief's orders, tells the team to arrest Jung-ho. Jung-ho tries to run, but they catch him and force him into a car. Meanwhile, Mi-jin is still tied up, but manages to grab a broken tile and begins cutting through the ropes on her hands. Back in the car, Jung-ho causes an accident during transport and escapes successfully. At the station, Young Min is released due to lack of evidence. Mi-jin finally frees herself and makes it out to the street. She finds a small store nearby and begs the shop owner to call the police. Mi-jin, waiting for the police, tries to call Jung-ho, but he ignores it as he was only focused to go back to location where her car was parked to find her. Detective O is tailing Young Min. Out of cigarettes, Young Min steps into the same store, unaware that Mi-jin is hiding inside. The store lady, nervous, tells Young Min to stay inside because there's a killer on the loose. Then, without realizing the danger, she mentions the girl hiding in the store. Young Min calmly asks if she has a hammer. Then, he walks to the door, locks it from the inside, and kills them both. Jung-ho sees police officers on the road. He looks around and notices the small store. When he walks in, he sees blood everywhere, realizing that Mi-jin is dead. He plays a voicemail on his phone. It's from Mi-jin, pleading with him to let her quit the job. Her voice is soft and tired. Somewhere else, Young Min is digging a hole, burying the bodies. He also kills the dog before covering the graves. Later, Jung-ho visits a church and notices a statue of Jesus. It looks just like the painting he saw in the house of Young Min's former cellmate. He asks the priest if he knows Young Min. The priest says yes. He helped during the construction of the church and was very skilled. He doesn't know his address, but says that Mr. Park might. Jung-ho visits Mr. Park's home. Instead of ringing the bell, he tries the keys from the bunch he found earlier. One of them works, and he enters the house. Inside, he finds Young Min. They stare at each other, and then the fight begins. In the room, Jung-ho sees Mi-jin's face and hands inside an aquarium. A horrifying sight. During the struggle, Young Min stabs Jung-ho in the leg with a chisel. They fight hard until Jung-ho finally grabs a hammer and is about to strike. At that exact moment, the police arrive and stop him. Later, they discover the backyard. It's filled with buried bodies. The full truth finally uncovered.